Hi, everyone. This is Anne Marie from Living Love Consciously. I wanted to touch base with you. I hope you're doing really well. So, today's topic, I'm going to look at my phone because I'm trying my best to stay on topic and not to deviate into a bunch of, shenanigans like I always do. Anyway, I hope you're having a really wonderful week. So, in this channel, what I talk about is just living life, everyday life, nothing spectacular, just living your everyday life and making the best of challenging situations in your life, enjoying the highs and working through the lows. So, in this discussion, we're going to talk about negative self talk. So, negative self talk is something I think we all have, we all do at some point in our lives, depending on what's going on. And it's important to understand what triggers it so that you can prepare yourself to work through those negative self talk. So for me, negative self talk happens when I fail at something or when something doesn't happen in the way that I wanted to happen, or the conclusion that I was expecting did not meet my standards or my efforts. So that is when the negative self talk comes in. And sometimes that negative self talk will even go into the past and try to trigger me. Isn't that crazy? Like, it will go into the past and try to trigger me. What do I mean by that? It will take a moment, like, for example, when I didn't do well on a chemistry test and be like, girl, you are not smart enough. You are not good enough. And that's why you did not do well in chemistry. That's why you didn't do as well as you wanted in that exam. That's why you're not a doctor now. Things like that. Or it will go back and say, wow, what could I have done like better? Why didn't I do better? Why da, 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 da. And then this usually happens when I'm trying to go to sleep. When I'm trying to go to sleep, that's when all these thoughts come into my head, and that's when the negative self-talk starts. And what I do is I don't try to stop it anymore. I just try to let it process through me, and then I counter it with that. You know what? I didn't become a doctor. So what? You know what? I didn't really do well in that exam, on that exam that I wanted to do well on, even though I studied my little butt off. So what? But you know what? Also, Anne Marie, when you were in high school, you probably should have set a better foundation for yourself. And that's the truth. Like, instead of studying and setting the foundations to become a doctor later in life, meaning the ability to spend long hours concentrating on the same thing, the ability to take long tests, the ability to have a recall of multiple subjects. Instead of like applying myself in that way in high school, I kind of winged it. Like, I did well in high school. My high school wasn't like the best high school, but I winged it. I didn't do as well as I could have. And then when I got to college, it was a whole different ball game, and I did not realize the ball game that I was playing. I was not prepared to play the ball game that needed to be played for me to have the success that I wanted in my life. And I have to own that, and it is what it is. Now you move on. Like, it's like, okay, but if you keep repeating the pattern of I'm not good enough, then you're just setting yourself up a failure. You're setting yourself up for depression. And sometimes some people can wheel themselves out of depression, and other times people cannot, and they end up taking their lives. So it's important that when you start to have negative self-talk, you really work through that process and understand why you're having that negative self-talk, and then counter it with other things, honest things, not just like being super positive and just like, oh, if I was a doctor, then I would have the life that I have now. Maybe, but if I was a doctor, maybe my finances would be better. Who knows? I don't know. I could be in debt and like working long hours and not being able to pay my student loans. Seriously, because I didn't have anybody to support me financially if I had gone that route. Like, I could just be in massive debt right now. And I'm not. I have no debt whatsoever. Occasionally, I spend a little hard on the credit card, but not anything that's putting me in debt. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I have my son, even though I had him really late in life, because I made decisions that probably it did not prepare me to be a mother earlier in life. Like I was always waiting for finances. I like in my friend group, I was always the one with the least amount of money. I was always the one who was the artist. He was like I'm the artist. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Like granted that not all my friends have like college degrees or up there, but they're more established and make more money than me because they've laid the foundation to do that. They've been working consistently. Like me, I stopped working. I went back to college. I was having fun. I love to learn. So the moment I got the opportunity to go back to college and just learn, I was on it. Like, so that didn't leave me a lot of money because I was spending money on school. I paid off my loans. I did all those things. So your actions have consequences, right? And so if you have negative thought patterns because of the actions that you're taking, then you're denying yourself the what's the word I'm looking for? The you're denying yourself the responsibility of accepting the decisions that you made, which is the biggest thing. People don't want to accept the decisions that they've made. They try to blame other people. And granted, there are other people who are contributing to it, but at the end of the day, you're the one making the decision. Like I could say, well, my parents didn't plan for me to be able to be a doctor by saving and preparing for college for me. My parents didn't do X, Y, and Z. Da, 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 da. I could do all that, but what's the point? It's in the past. It's happened. Now it's time to take accountability for yourself as an adult. What do I want? What am I trying to establish? That's how you break those negative self thoughts. You stay present and you stay on what is it that I'm trying to establish every day. You remind yourself, hey, for me, I'm trying to be a good human. I'm trying to be kind, compassionate towards my fellow human beings. I would love to make money to help other human beings that need help. I would love to make money to help myself be at a more financial status where I'm not stressing out all the time about money, about getting support to raise a family. Like if you've been following me for a while, and I don't know if I've mentioned it, but it's just me and my husband, me and my partner. That's it. It's just us and our child. And so it would be nice to be able to hire somebody to help us because, like, for example, right now I'm sick. I'm on a lot of medication right now. Like I have a cold that kicked my butt because I'm constantly going, because I never have time for rest, because I made the decision to have a child and I don't have the tribe, the community, the family. It's non-existent for me. So I have to buy that tribe. So people who are able to afford a nanny, to afford daycare, to afford all these things, you are buying the tribe. And I did not have money to buy the tribe. So it's just me and it's wearing my husband and I out. But for me, children are a gift, and I am grateful that God gave my son to me. And I look forward to the opportunity for God to give me more children if it's in the cards. If it's not, that's okay. But I am in gratitude every day for my son. I'm in gratitude every day for my partner. I'm in gratitude every day for having the ability to work, having the mindset to work, having the emotions to balance all the challenges that come with work, all the stuff that comes on the internet. So constantly focusing on those things helps me to stay out of my negative self-talk. And when it does happen, like I said before, I acknowledge it, but I don't linger in it and I don't let it get me to the point where I deny the decisions that I've made. I second guess myself. I put myself down for the decisions I've made. I've made them. That's it. Now, try to make better decisions. That's the point, to try to make better decisions for the future for myself and my son. And I hope and I pray every day that the decisions that I make are good for him, us, our family, and the collective human kindness. I don't want to do anything that makes any other person feel bad, that steps on someone to get to the top. I don't chase money. I don't chase titles at work. I don't chase likability at work. I really go to work and try to be of service. I really go out into the world and try to be of service. And I hope in my heart that returns in some way. But if it doesn't, it's okay, because when I die and I'm on my deathbed, I know I tried my best to be a decent human, and I never did anything to intentionally hurt someone. And granted, like I said before, I have made decisions that have had negative impacts on other people. But it is what it is. I try my best to reconcile that and to move forward. And this is how you break the pattern. You have a strategy. The strategy for me is to acknowledge it, to then be present and focus on how I'm going to move forward, and to reconcile anything that lingers, that I not necessarily don't forgive myself for, but that lingers, that reoccurring thoughts. And to apologize. Like, for example, I've apologized to my mother for not being what's the word I'm looking for? For not being steadfast. I don't think that's the word. In bringing her into this country and helping her financially. But I just felt at the time, I was young, I didn't have any support, and it was like, why is this my responsibility? But I probably should have tried harder. She probably would be here with me because she died. She died in a third world country of cancer, and maybe had she been in the US, she would have made it. But I don't know, and I do apologize to my mother for that. You know, whenever I say a prayer, whenever I think about her, I do tell her I'm sorry that I didn't try harder. I have siblings still in Haiti. Haiti right now is in dire constraints financially, just overall, just heartache. And I pray for that. And so many times before all this happened, I would fill out the paperwork and I just didn't follow through because I didn't want to lie. I didn't have the money to take care of these people. Like, there's 6 siblings, right? I didn't have the finances to take care of them. I didn't want to lie on my paperwork, and I didn't want to be a target to get my citizenship revoked for some reason because I lied. Like, all these things went through my head, and I was just like, because when you file for people you have to show all these financial records, and I didn't even have them, and I didn't even have anybody to support and help me. It was just me. And so those are the cards I was dealt, and I did the best with those cards. So if anybody finds themselves in this situation, just try your best not to overthink about it, and to pray and to allow yourself forgiveness and God's grace. All right. I love you. Take care of yourself, and I will talk to you again. Bye.